Welcome. Today I am going over 19 extremely frugal things that housewives did during World War II to save money. And we are seeing, do I do these things? Do you do these things? And are these things that we could implement today to save us money? If you're new around here, I'm Lena. I make money at home videos. I share what has worked for us to save money and reach our financial goals while still living a full life. Please don't forget to subscribe and ring that little notification bell. Stretching meals using cheap foods. This is a great one, like adding beans or rice to your stew or your soup to make it go farther. Add some less expensive calories so that your meat lasts longer. I found this article on the Frugal Navy wife, and I thought it would be interesting to look into this hard time in our history in the 1940s and see what we can learn from what people were doing back then to make ends meet. We are not very great at this. I would love to get better at this, like by adding potatoes and beans to our meals, because it can really fill people up and add some calories inexpensively. Because if you have kids, they just keep eating and eating and eating. And if you keep feeding them meat, it gets really expensive. Next up, learn to can and preserve food. I don't actually have this skill yet, but I do know people that do have this skill, and I could go learn from them if I needed to and start working on that. I don't have any of this set up. I know there's a lot of storage and organization, and I'm a little bit scared about those glass jars. And my 1-year-old who likes to climb everywhere, I could see that going very poorly. Next up is rationing food. We kind of do this, but not to the same degree that I'm sure they did then. But we try to only go to our local grocery store for fresh veggies once a week, which means we are carefully planning out what we're going to eat each day and trying not to eat more than that so that we don't run out by the end of the week. So I think that's a form of rationing, but definitely not on the same level as they had to do during World War II. More desserts using fruit. I think this is super interesting because fruit is so expensive. So unless you have a fruit hookup or you have an apple tree out back that you could make your pies with, it's actually really expensive to make desserts with fruit. It would be actually cheaper to make it with flour and sugar and cocoa powder and make some chocolate something. But if you have a hookup for free fruit, yes, that could be a great money saving tip. Or if you could can your apples or whatever fruits you could glean from your neighbors and your friends, and those were all canned, then you could make your pies and desserts out of those, and that could save you a lot of money. So 2 tips in 1. So I guess at that time, sugar was rare and expensive, but I don't feel like that's true at this time. Next up is cut back and spend less. Oh, was that what I was supposed to do? I didn't know. So I feel like this is kind of a throwaway one, but yes, if you can cut back on your expenses and spend less money, then you can save more money and your money will stretch farther. Bake your own bread and baked goods. So if you are buying bread from a bakery or your grocery store, anything that someone else had to put labor into costs money. So if you need those items for your family, it can be cheaper to make them yourself. And I think this is still true. I have celiac disease, so there is not much bread around here. Actually, there's absolutely no bread in our house except for the gluten-free kind, which is super expensive. So if I could figure out how to make that myself, we could probably save some money in that category. But I wonder if it's just so finicky to make gluten-free bread that doesn't taste like cardboard. I don't know how much time and effort that would take me, but if you guys consume baked goods and breads, it could definitely be cheaper to do that yourself. Throwing more potlucks. I think this is a great plan when everyone contributes a little bit of something, and then you can have variety in your life because everyone won't bring the same thing, but you didn't have to make all the different things, but you still get to eat all the different things, so that's fun. Also, great excuse to get together with your friends and a great way to have an event, a get together, a party without having to spend all that money on food yourself. If it's already set up as a potluck, awesome. Invest in a freezer. We totally do this. We have a chest freezer in the back, and we go to Costco once a month because it's kind of far away for us. I guess we're a little bit rural. So we stock up on things so that we can buy in bulk and not pay the single serve price, but still have all the things that we need for our whole month worth of meat, and we store that in our freezer. If we didn't have the freezer, we couldn't do that. It can also be helpful to have extras if a food shortage does happen. You have something to tide you over if you get snowed in or there's a natural disaster. You are prepared because you have a little bit of extra food stocked away. Live to enjoy life, not living to get things. I thought this quote from the article was pretty interesting. The housewives of the 1940s would be appalled on how we live today. They lived to enjoy life and weren't wrapped up in staying happy by obtaining material things. I think there definitely weren't as many gadgets and gizmos and advertisements back in that day, but I definitely am trying to focus on this past year, like how can we go for a walk and enjoy everyone's decorations and their pumpkin carving skills, and how can we live in the moment more. I'm a future thinker, so I'm always thinking and planning for the future. There's kind of like three ways to think about time. Like past, you could be thinking about time as you're always thinking about the past, or you could be a present time thinker or a future time thinker. So I spend way too much time thinking about the future, and that makes me not as present with the awesome things that are happening now. So I'm really trying to be present with what's happening here and enjoying that instead of wondering what will be delivered to my doorstep tomorrow from Amazon. Grow your own food. I am not good at this, but this would be such a useful skill, especially if you have that canning skill or that preserving skill. You could save money because seeds are inexpensive, or you could share with your friend, and then you can get a huge crop. The thing that deters me is the time and the effort. Maybe we will do this more when my kids get a little older and maybe they can help and enjoy that instead of destroying things and needing constant attention. I just feel like it's not a great time in my life to grow a serious garden that could produce things that we could use to save money. Do you have a garden that you use for food? Clean and reuse diapers. So paper diapers weren't even invented until the 1950s, so everyone was cloth diapering. But now it's kind of not as much of a thing as it used to be. But we do cloth diaper, and we save a lot of money that way because we are just washing the diapers again, and we are not spending the $100 a month on disposable diapers. Even if you have to buy your entire cloth diaper setup brand new and you can't find anything used, you could pay for that in how much money you would have spent on paper diapers in like 3 or 4 months. So totally worth it to get set up with cloth diapers if you think you can do it and you are willing to do that little extra laundry. Use food supplies already on hand. So this is kind of the idea that before you go to the store or before you get new things, you are clearing out your pantry and thinking of clever ways to utilize the last can of beans that you have or that turkey sausage before you go out and buy new things. And this can really save you a lot of money. Learn basic sewing skills. I do have some basic sewing skills, and this can save you a lot of money still, even though clothing is so much less expensive comparatively than it was back then because clothing is so disposable. But I like to buy slightly more expensive clothes that last longer, which means it can actually be worth it to mend those clothes because that way they will last even longer. So if you buy slightly better clothes that are more suited to being mended, you can really save a lot of money in the long run. Because that fast fashion, really thin fabric, you can't mend that. You just gotta throw it away when you're done, and then you just gotta buy a new one, which is so disappointing, especially if you loved that item. Use a clothesline. So this is hanging your laundry out to dry instead of using your dryer. Do you do this? I'm really curious how many of you out there actually use a clothesline for your clothes. I do not. Right now here it's snowing. I will not be drying my clothes outside or inside. It's just too time consuming for me. You got to pick your battles. Sharing rides with others. Gas is getting really expensive around here. So if there's a way, if you're going on a long trip, you could go with someone else, or you could tag along with someone else, or, make that trip to Costco together with your friend. So you're getting two families' groceries for the cost of one gasoline trip. We are not so great about this, but we do try to use our more fuel efficient car when we're going on long trips if it's safe and possible. To visit my family, there's a big mountain pass. So in the winter, we probably need to take the big car with all-wheel drive. But whenever we can, we take the little commuter car, and that saves us a lot of money on gas. Be more aware of energy use. I think this is a great idea, and just trying to not use more than absolutely necessary. You could also, turn down your thermostat when it's cold or turn it up when it's hot, but that makes me a little bit uncomfortable. We try to be conscious of that during the summer, even though I'm kind of wilt when it's too hot inside. So we have to have some amount of coolness, but I definitely try to keep an eye on that and be like, okay, how hot is okay and we still feel healthy, and how hot is too much and we need to turn it down. Reuse everything. So the example they were using is an old towel, cutting it up and using it to clean your car, or be an outside rag. So whenever we have those cheap graphic tees, and we're done with them, I cut them up and use them as rags or, handkerchiefs, and old towels, you can clean with them. Or I feel like there's a lot more disposable products than probably there were back then. So there's a lot of plastics and stuff that I don't necessarily have a way to reuse. And we recycle it, but not everything that you recycle gets recycled. So whatever you can reuse or repurpose, especially if that keeps you from having to buy something to serve that task, can really save you money. We do this, and I make my own all-purpose cleaning solution, which is a fraction of the cost of buying all those fancy cleaners. I make it with some brown mouthwash and some vinegar and some dish soap. And that's basically it. We have our all-purpose cleaner that I make myself, and then we have our toilet cleaner, and that's it. So we aren't buying cleaning solutions all the time or special things to scrub things with. I guess we're buying Dawn dish soap a lot too. That's the best stuff. And then sometimes we have like Comet or Bon Ami, kind of need something to scrub your cooktop with. But other than that, we don't have all the fancy things because it costs money and it takes up a bunch of space. Like, we can fit all our cleaning supplies. We got 4 things, that's like 0 space for all our cleaning supplies because we just don't have that many. And for our windows, we use one of those window cloths, and you just put water on them and it cleans the window really well. So we're using absolutely no cleaning supplies on our windows. Awesome. Passing on your frugal knowledge to your children so that they can use these tricks to save money and live a better life. And I think this just happens naturally because they're watching what we do. So, my boys aren't going to think, oh, we should buy a million different cleaners, because they've only seen us clean with one thing, and they know they can wash their windows with water and a rag. They're like, oh, well, why would I do something else or buy something expensive? Like, it won't even make sense to them because they grew up here. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye for now.